how safe is the economy that we're actually in? You know, you hear that it's doing better, you hear that it's going to get better, but ultimately, there's telltale signs, clear warning signs of how bad the economy really is. Today we're going to talk about a few of those, about 5. And you're going to see, for instance, how bad the economy really is. And then we're going to talk about what you should do. Because right now, people are struggling financially. And we're going to go through the numbers, and it's going to be startling to you. But then you're going to say, okay, what should I do then? A lot of these things I can't help. Well, today we're going to talk about the 5 things that you can do to make your money better, to make your money last longer in 2025. Please make sure you're paying attention to this story and watch all 5 and start doing this. It's something so simple that your grandma probably would have told you. But if you do these things, this won't affect you. We're going to talk about the warning signs and what you should be doing. Also, we're going to discuss the handlers of Biden. There's a new article out that shows how deep the deep establishment state is. And we're going to discuss that a little bit today. Also, word that Elon Musk is getting deported? No, he's not. But it's funny how the irony in this situation and the oxymoronic statement that the Democrats are now wanting the richest man who, even though they don't like him right now, has done so much for humanity. You may not like him. He's got some weird ways about it. But they're wanting to deport him. Someone who pays taxes, actually the biggest taxpayer in America right now. And they're wanting to deport him, but they're going to keep all the other 8 to 11 million people. There's actually word that Biden could do a blanket pardon for legal immigrants. What say you? Let's dive into these stories today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay. But let us know what you think about this video today. Now, it is Christmas Eve, so I want you to spend time with your family, of course. I hope that you do watch our videos, and of course, I hope that you go check out our new channel, Life with Colby Mac. We're going to be doing some cleanup today. You'll see a new video, the 4th one. Make sure you are subscribed to that channel because we're going to be doing a giveaway in just a few days on this channel and that channel, so go check it out. Now, we don't want you to gloss over Christmas because Christmas is so important, especially as a Christ follower, how important it was that God sent His Son for us. And so we want to spend that time honoring that. So make sure you are spending time with your family and honoring what God has done for us. But then let's look at 2025 and what we could do. The telltale signs of a bad and failing economy and collapse is upon us. And then what we should do. Let's talk about the signs first, and then we're going to talk about the things, the easy steps that you should be doing. This was taken from an article from Zero Hedge that Michael Schneider wrote, and I thought it was really good. And I want to take some key points out of it because I think it could help us see how to be proactive versus reactive. Let's go over this story. It says the fact that the economic conditions are getting worse is certainly not good news, but it is a show of what actually is coming that's going to get worse over time. We think our economy is doing better, and even though we elected the President Trump, we have to realize that the problems and the issues that are here will still happen no matter who was going to become president. Now, is there things that Trump could do to make it better? Is there people in place that could be better? Absolutely. But at some point in time, some of this stuff is going to snowball to a point where we're going to get hit by the snowball, not because we want to, because we can't ignore it. Now let's talk about those signs, and you'll see these things in your own life, in your own household, or at least a family member of yours. It says a large number of poor and working class Americans are desperate for a change, and that's exactly what they did. They elected change in November. But what Michael Snyder is saying here is that these things are already in place, and we may still fall down the stairs even though we don't want to. It says, here's some telltale signs. When the economy is in good shape, holiday spending increases every year. In 2024, only 16% of people said that they were going to be able to spend what they spent last year or more. Overwhelmingly, the majority said there's no way they can because they can't afford what they're actually paying for now. Much more Christmas gifts that may not be as important as eating. Number 2, the number of job openings in the U.S. is now at the lowest it's been since January 2021. So people can't find jobs. Now, if you remember just a few years ago, there was jobs everywhere. Now there's no jobs anywhere, and the jobs that are opening are public sector jobs that the government is trying to make it look like the economy's doing better, or it's part-time work. So people are picking up jobs, but they're not picking up quality career jobs. They're picking up side hustles. Now, there's nothing wrong with side hustles. There's nothing wrong with side jobs, part-time jobs. But if we can't find a career that actually helps pay our notes and do our things that we need to do and take care of our families, we're spinning in a rat race that's actually going to end up making us more stressed and more have more anxiety as a nation. So there's lowest number of jobs available right now in the market. Number 3, mortgage rates. The mortgage rates are still rising. Also, we are considered in a middle class housing crisis, meaning there's not enough houses out there that people can afford, that are in good shape, that are move-in ready. People are actually having to pay $30,000 to $35,000 more than they anticipated, something they could have bought 3 years ago for the money they have now. So now they've lost basically purchasing power of about $35,000. And that's because the interest rates, but not only that, the inflation and the cost of goods that went up to either build the home, to refurbish the home, or renovate the home. So people are not able to buy houses, especially from the middle income. Now, typically you would say, well, that's not a bad thing. You can rent. Rent is up about 30%. Now, it has dropped a little bit, but then it's still going back up because people realize that there's no homes to buy. So, of course, real estate people who are owning these rental properties are saying, hey, well, we can charge more. And that's exactly what's happening. And so now, because there's not enough real estate for housing to buy, the ones that are buying it are putting it out to rent, and there's not enough to rent. So overwhelmingly, the price is up no matter where you're trying to live. And so it's hard on people's savings to be able to afford the mortgage, to afford the rent, and afford the household goods that they're needing to pay for each and every month. Number 4, LendingTree found that in a survey that 23.4% of Americans experienced the inability to pay for their energy bill at some point during this last year. It also showed that overwhelmingly about 50% of individuals had struggled paying for their bills, especially their energy and insurance, at some point because they did not have enough savings put aside for something they needed. And all of a sudden the energy bill came, the insurance bill came, and they struggled paying it or needed extra time. 50% of people. And number 5, this is the scary one. Food banks right now are in such high demand and there's not enough food there. People are not able to pay for their food, so they're utilizing food banks more. Now, in another article that was wrote, it says the demand at food banks have soared to record levels all across the U.S. In every city, people are going to the food banks more than they've ever had. And what it's done, it's starved the food banks where they cannot get enough food built up, especially for the holiday season. So now we talked about 5 things right there. About the fact of mortgage and rents, the fact of energy and utilities and insurances, the fact of food costing too much, the fact that jobs are not available. That's a lot thrown at you. All those things are telltale signs that the economy typically is going to falter. If not a depression, a recession, that's going to be pretty bad on the economy. A pretty big correction because people do not have the funds to keep on going. We don't need extra stimulus from the government. We don't need extra money there. Also, you can tell that it's struggling because the Fed just lowered rates, which of course killed the economy even more. And it's ultimately to try to hurt Trump. But he's trying to lower the Fed rates. They're trying to lower the Fed rates, the interest rates, to make you want to start buying some things again. Well, people don't have the money to buy things again because all the stuff is still costing more. And remember, when they lower the rates, inflation goes back up even more. So we're in a catch-22 as a nation. Now let's talk about 5 things that you should be doing right now to get ready for 2025. You're getting out of the Christmas season in just a few days. We want to honor God and spend the time with your family at Christmas. But then let's get dedicated. Number 1, get on a written budget. If you make $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $500, $10,000, whatever you make a month, you write it down. You have to get on a budget. You have to know where your money goes. I bet you if you wrote down every dollar you spend, it would blow your mind what you spend on certain items. Now, things we have to have. Of course, we have to have a mortgage or rent. Yes, we have to have food. We have to purchase food. We have to have energy and utilities and insurances and so forth. So you write those down in basis of how important they are. It says that 90% of people cannot use their discretionary income anymore for goods like meals and entertainment. They have to use it for utilities and insurances and things that they need for their home. That's a big deal. So number 1, let's write down everything that we spend, what our monthly budget is, and make sure that we stick to it. If we don't have extra money to blow this month, then we don't blow it. I promise you, if you write down your money, you may not do it right the first few weeks and months, but you start writing down a monthly budget, you try to stick to it, you're going to be better financially and more independent as the months keep going. There's nothing better than having financial independence, and that comes first by making your money do what you want it to do, and make sure that you understand where your money is going. So number one, write a budget. Number two, get on a weekly meal plan. You have to start writing down what you're eating and how you're eating and how you're going to prepare it for the week. Learn how not to eat out. Learn how to pack a lunch for if you're going to the office. If you're home, learn how to cook more and eat leftovers for the next day for lunch. Learn how to meal plan to say, okay, I'm going to the grocery. I have a plan. I'm going to buy this for the meals this week. You've got to get on a meal plan and stop eating out. Do you realize, think about this now. I can buy a pair of shoes, high-end shoes, like my running shoes. Say for instance, I run every morning. I paid $100 for those running shoes. Now, I almost fainted when I paid $100 for those running shoes. It's a lot. That's a lot of money. But those running shoes will last me. So far, it's lasted me. Those have been with me for 6 months, and they'll probably last me at least another year and a half, 2 years. Now, if you go to a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant, you will spend $100 for 4 people, and not to be crass, that will be gone in the toilet. That is literally money in the toilet in the next few days. So let's get on a budget. Number two, let's make sure that we are meal planning and staying out of the restaurants for just a little bit. And let's get tighter on our budget by doing that in weekly meal planning. Number three, same way. Just like I said about grocery meal planning, you need to write a grocery list down based on that meal plan, based on the weekly meals, based on the hygiene items you need and what you need. You have to decipher what wants and needs are. So the only way that you're ever going to get on top of it is you start knowing that and knowing what you need. If you know what you need, then you will spend your money on the necessities. You may not have a lot of discretionary money for a while. You may not have all the extras to buy all the snacks. But if you learn to buy and build your meals based on things that you buy at the store, and the store the same way, your meal plan helps you buy what you want at the store. They work together. You'll realize how important and how cheap it ends up being when you start buying groceries based on a meal plan and not waste. We don't waste food. We eat it the next day. We make sure that we do not waste any of our food, and it's going to start saving you some money. Number four, try to grow some vegetation. Try to grow some rabbits and chickens. Anybody and everybody can grow something. If it's on a porch, you can grow container gardens. You could do hydroponics. You could do rabbits. Rabbits are quiet, so they go with any HOA. You can put them in a backyard. No one will ever know. They're not loud, and they're fertilizer for your gardens. But it's also a meat source. It's also an income source because you can sell the bunnies. There's so much value into understanding agriculture and understanding on a small level. You don't have to have acres and acres and acres of land. Now, you can't put a Hereford cow or a Jersey milk cow in the back of your yard that's only a third of an acre. But you can put chickens. You can put a garden. You can take a quarter of an acre and grow enough garden that lasts a whole year. Think how much money you would save if you started growing some of your crops and not having to buy them at the store. Also, they'd be less processed. Now, what goes along with that is when you go to the store, buy the natural and easier source to build your own food. So instead of buying bread, you buy the flour and you buy the milk and you buy whatever it takes to build the bread. You're going to realize that that flour is not going to only build your bread, it's going to build your pancakes. It's going to build whatever you're wanting a cake for the next day. Learn to not buy prepackaged food because it's a cost on you. It's not worth it. Number five, be thankful and do not take the money you make for granted. No matter what it is, be thankful for it. Also, if you're thankful for it and you start doing all these plans, you'll start saving it. And that's the most important. Start putting the money up, and it doesn't matter how you put it up. I like having cash. I like putting a little in the bank, and I like making sure that I have control over it, tangible. So cash is a good way to keep that savings. But start learning, if you do these 4 or 5 things, you're going to realize how much it's going to save you at the end of the month. If there's no savings after all that, then it's time to look at side hustles. There's great opportunities for side hustles, especially when it comes to technology. It's a good thing. So let's get on a plan better for 2025. Now, that's just a quick list. There's tons of other things that you can do, and there's tons of other ways that you can make money and learn how to be better with your money. Please, for 2025, get better, because these signs are showing that there is going to be some major corrections and problems in the market. Now, let's jump on to the last 2 stories. Number 2, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, the Democrats have said that they want to get rid of Elon Musk and they want to send him back to Africa. Now, this is coming from the same party that has paid listen to this. The average cost of an immigrant living here. Now remember, there is 8 million that is known. There is 11 million that is thought extra that is not known of the 8 million that's in the shelters. Now listen to this now. Listen. The average cost for an immigrant is $350 a day. $350 a day is what the average government and taxpayer is having to pay per immigrant that's here illegally. However, they're wanting to send the biggest taxpayer and one of the biggest business owners in America away because they don't like his politics. Do you see the irony in that conversation? So when you hear Democrats say this kind of stuff, it's like, so what are you going to do with the fact that now you said that you're going to protect all these people that are living here illegally, that's not doing anything but staying in shelters, and we're paying for them? Now, are they going to deport Elon Musk? No. But the point of what I'm saying is, this is how our leadership does not actually pay attention to Americans and do things for Americans. When they lower the Fed rate, they raise the taxes, they raise inflation, the cost of goods goes up. That is all things that's costing you as Americans more. However, it's not costing the people in the shelters more because they're still funding it for them. But they want to take the guy who has got 3 to 4 major businesses located in America that's providing free speech for America that they don't like anymore, and they want to deport him. I just want you to think about that. That is the irony of the people who don't actually represent us in Washington. Last story of the day, I want to talk about Biden. Now, you know, he's pardoned a lot. He's actually basically commuting a lot of these death row sentences, which is unbelievable that he's doing this. But I want you to listen to this. And this is something Mario Nafal shared on Twitter. I thought this was a very good just snippet. And it's real short, so this video won't last long. It says, "The shadow government, how Biden's handlers ran America." I want you to listen to this, and this is talking about the last few years. While Democrats rage about Elon's unelected influence for exposing wasteful spending, and recent bombshell reports reveal an unprecedented use of power, Biden's presidency has been largely run by proxies and the cabinet members rarely gaining direct access to a commander-in-chief. Even Secretary Yellen, traditionally one of the most important cabinet positions, was kept at arm's length, forced to communicate through intermediaries. Meaning there was people that are around Biden, his handlers, that basically instead of having the cabinet members come speak to Biden, they had to speak to people that represented Biden because Biden was being a puppet, basically. Defense Secretary Austin's regular briefings became increasingly rare, even as wars erupted in Ukraine and Gaza. So we have wars going on, conflicts we're invested in, and we quit having meetings, weekly meetings with our Defense Department, with the White House. Cabinet members stopped requesting presidential access, knowing such requests would be denied. There wasn't mere delegation, it was institutional cover-up. Where Obama actively engaged with his cabinet in debate policy, Biden's team created impenetrable barrier of handlers who issued top-down directives with little presidential involvement. When Elon used X to trim a 1,547-page bill down to 118 pages, the Democrats cried out and was mad that he had some kind of shadow influence. The hypocrisy is staggering. Washington would rather have unelected staffers secretly running the executive branch than to face public scrutiny in a bloated spending. The message is clear. The establishment will protect its own while fighting those who dare to lift the veil. I thought that was greatly put by Mario Nafal. We have to realize that we are fighting a bigger battle, and it's not the conflicts across the world, it's the conflicts here at home. A lot of the problems I told you about, the extra spending, the extra tax, the extra inflation, that's your government doing it against you to keep you in an impoverished state to where you will always look to them to be the superhero. The government was never meant to be your superhero. They were meant to be the major fallback just in case something bad happened. That's all. They were never meant to be everything that is provided to you and for you by them, because they're taking all your money and then giving it back to other people. That's what our government has done. And just like this, when we have a president who is not accessible, and I told you, I think Trump doing these 2 or 3 minute snippets on social media, and it's just him talking to the American people, is huge. I hope he keeps on doing that because he's speaking directly to the American people. And I think open policy debates and him talking to his cabinet is so good. even when they don't agree with him. I think it's good, and I think it's good that American people see that. We did see that with Trump last time, and I think we're going to see more of it this time. We have to realize that no one's going to help you and come and save you every time something goes wrong in your life. When the crap hits the fan, you better depend on yourself more than the government. As we talked about in the first 5 warning signs, and the 5 things you should be doing that your grandma probably would have told you, what we've realized is that when people do good things like Elon, even though I don't agree with everything Elon's doing, especially with AI and all that, but when it comes to free speech, when it comes to building businesses in America, he's doing that. But you see, they've put a target on his back. Target on Trump. So what that means is you are almost out on your own sometimes, especially if you don't have the influence and the opportunity to be this multi-billionaire and run for office. So you know how you fix that? You be independent and you start learning how to be sustainable. You start learning the list I talked about. Get on a budget. Start growing your own food. Start understanding the importance of no matter what happens in the world, it doesn't matter, because what's happening here at my home is more important, and how I raise my family. What I do and how to be independent. We're fisting to put up, literally, chickens 200 to 300 pounds. 2 hog about 500 to 600 pounds. A steer about 900 pounds at the start of the year. That's a lot of work, don't get me wrong. That's also starting off harvesting gardens that are still producing lettuce, broccoli, and greens each and every day. Not only feeds us, feeds our animals. Then we're going to turn around and we're going to start getting ready for spring and gardens. We're going to buy survival garden seeds if we don't have them, and we're going to put them in the ground and we're going to grow food. You know why that doesn't impact me at the store too much? You know, I don't think about grocery prices because most of my groceries come from my back porch. Now, not everybody can do that, but if you start buying it now, if it goes up in 6 months, it won't matter to you because you will have it put on the shelf already ready to be cooked and prepped for your meals. Be smart. Everything I said this video, I promise you, someone from the early 1900s would have said, that's common sense. Come on, think with your brain and don't look for convenience to always be there for you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This video is not meant to discourage you. It's meant to say, look, Christmas is here. We enjoy it with our family. But the next week is the start of the year. And it's not going to get easier. Just because we're going to start a new year doesn't mean it's a new economy, everything's going to be perfect. No, it means you can start new. You can get on a budget. You can start saving money. You can start being more independent. And you can start being better. I want you to listen to one last thing. It says in Syria, after all of this, they made Christmas a holiday. What's the most important thing in the world? It's not how much money you can earn. It's not how much you can grow. It's not, who's the president. It's your walk with the all-knowing, perfect God. And remember, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day is about Jesus coming to earth for us. The crazy thing, we always see him in a manger. But more than that, he came in a manger to die for us. So if all the stress in the world's bothering you and the anxiety's bothering you, the one thing that you can hold fast on is that God sent his son for us. And that should give you peace. Enjoy your Christmas Eve. Enjoy your time with your family. Check out the other channels because, again, we want to bring you uplifting, encouraging things. You're going to see me working on the farm today. Watch it, subscribe to that channel so that way you can be entered into the giveaway. Thank you so very much for another year of me being able to share my life with you. God bless you. Have a wonderful day and Merry Christmas.